Non si può girare. No,
no, c'è il
vabbè.
computer sul palco.
Vabbè, almeno vediamo voi due, così almeno cerchiamo di vedere voi due.
Sì, vi vedete Rosangela perché
Ok, va benissimo. Va bene. Allora, Rosangela, vediamo te.
Mi dispiace.
E io sono contentissima. L'unica cosa che dovete dire anche ad Enrico, ora lo dico anche a te perché tu puoi sentirci, mi puoi sentire, vero Enrico?
Sì.
Ok, allora loro possono sentire noi, ma noi non riusciamo a sentire loro, quindi a questo punto, se siete d'accordo, almeno per capire quello che dobbiamo fare, perché sennò diventa complicato, allora io lascio il telefono di Bianca almeno in viva voce o quello di Rosangela. Così
Ma poi magari
capisco.
invece se ci sono domande possiamo fare anche in chat, mi scrivono, per interagire, non c'è bisogno di...
No, sono d'accordo, però comunque visto che loro, e mi è chiaro, però ci devono dare là, ci devono dire le cose, come facciamo?
Ah, ok.
Ci connettiamo fra 2 minuti di nuovo.
Allora mi chiamate voi fra 2 minuti, noi io e Enrico intanto restiamo qui.
Sì,
va bene.
Ok, ciao. Allora, Enrico, mi senti?
Sì, ma loro quando accendono l'audio si sente un rumore di sottofondo.
Chiamata.
Ok, Enrico ti chiamo, togliamo l'audio qua.
Can you hear us in online? Test. Test.
Okay, we can change the order of the presentation. We can start.
Test.
You have a presentation that so we can upload on the desktop. Don't worry. To speak.
Here. What is the folder of the maybe here, no? Okay. Yes. Okay. I can I close my drive? Okay. Thank you.
Another.
One more setting.
Okay.
Am văzut doar din Windows dacă mai e ceva. Yeah.
Google Chrome.
Ok.
Ăsta de aici.
Da, dă-i test dacă e la maxim. Din asta. Mhm. De aici, eventual. Pe acolo. Punctul ăsta. Nu, toate sunt la maxim. Nu.
Totuși, stai să vedem încă o dată la mic. Moșnitul e ăsta, nu?
Mhm. Da, e deschis. Văd de aici. Test.
Asta că el ar trebui să ia microfonul de aici. E ăsta, știi? Deci sunetul e pe ieșire și ar trebui să aibă microfonul lui la laptop. Dar nu înțeleg de ce nu...
Nu.
Înțeleg de ce nu... Uite că e pe...
Minim, da.
Da. E projection audio, nu știu ce, dar nu, e pe asta. Poate undeva să fie oprit.
Nu, n-ai buton pentru microfon, ai buton pentru volum.
Uite,
Microfon deschis.
totul e pe allow. Nu-mi dau seama de ce să se ducă, că bănuiesc că asta să dăm speaker.
inkiem dai
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry for this small delay in compared to the times of the session. Now we'll start this session about student entrepreneurship and entrepreneurial ecosystem. Just a few words about me. I'm Rosangela Feola.
Good afternoon. Do you hear me?
Hello.
Yes, Francisco. Yeah. Okay. Just a few words about me. I'm Rosangela Feola from University of Salerno, and I teach entrepreneurship, and my special interest is about student entrepreneurship. So this is the reason why this mini track on this specific topic. But before starting the presentation of your paper, we have a special guest in this session that we start this session about entrepreneurship, and we have Enrico Vellante, that is a partner of our university and the Neolaia project. Enrico is a co-founder of 012 Factory, that is one of the main incubators in south of Italy, is one of the few incubators that are certified according to the Italian law about incubator. And with us, there is also Bice Della Piana, Professor Bice Della Piana, that is a colleague from university, that is the leader of for University of Salerno of the Neolaia project. So I will give the floor to Bice Della Piana, that I know that can't hear us in the room, but I think that we can hear them. So I think that Bice is ready to introduce herself and to introduce Enrico. Bice?
Rosangela? Yes, Rosangela. I'm asking you if it is possible also to connect your personal profile or maybe the personal profile of Bianca, because in that way it is impossible to follow the flow of communication. So yes, I can introduce something, but it is not so easy. Just if, for example, yourself or Bianca can enter with another account. If it is not possible, I try to introduce Dr. Vellante for that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have just a few minutes to give the welcome, a special welcome to Enrico Vellante. Enrico Vellante is part of 012 Factory and is the most important associated partner we have at University of Salerno, I would say. So I am so proud, but also UNISA is so proud to have them in our organization because of their experience, because they are also agent of innovation for the territory, but also as inspiration for the university in the link between university and industry. And specifically, the contribution of Enrico Vellante today is to talk about their native model. This is so relevant This is the reason why we are so proud to have them as part of our organization. So I don't want to take and waste the time that is for Enrico, but maybe, I don't know, Rosangela, if you would like to tell something before Enrico have the time for his contribution.
Okay. Enrico, the floor is yours, and Enrico, as Bice said, is one of the main partner of our university and our Neolaya project. So when Enrico is ready, he can start the presentation. I try to write in the chat, so.
Okay. Thank you, Bice. You are too kind with us, and we have to say that we are very happy to cooperate with the University of Salerno. So thank you for inviting us this afternoon to talk with you about our model of open innovation. And of course, I want to thank all the team of Neolaya project. Part of it, I've had the opportunity to meet in Brussels at the kickoff meeting a couple of years ago, I think. And so I don't want to take too much time, also because we have started a little bit late. I would like to share with you just a few slides I've prepared with my daughter. I cannot find it. Just a second, please. Here we are. So, can you see it? Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Here we are. So, first of all, probably it's important to introduce myself. I am one of the 3 partners of 012 Factory. We are a startup incubator. So we work with a lot of startups at the moment. I think around 80 startups are incubated by us. But we are also a tech transfer center. So we usually, our business is to transfer technologies, research studies, research output produced by startups, university spin-offs to the SMEs world, because our larger customers are SMEs. So we work for both, with both startups and SMEs. How we do that? We trying, our job is to be a sort of intermediary of innovation between startups, university research, and SMEs. I would say that we are a sort of translator, cultural mediator, because usually these 2 words speak different languages. But at the same time, what we have seen in these years, that if you are able to give a sparkle to opportunity of cooperation between startups and SMEs in particular, not only with big corporations, in a process of open innovation, you can create and generate new innovation for businesses. So what we like to do is to create innovation for businesses, for enterprises, in particular for SMEs. You have to consider that in Italy, the 95% and more of the companies are SMEs, so it's a huge market for us. But this is a characteristic of the Italian capitalism. So we have to find a way to make these 2 worlds cooperate to create new innovation. Of course, all of you know the model of open innovation, which is a model that usually is managed by big companies, by corporates, to work in partnership with the startups and with them create innovation. Usually open innovation programs of big corporations are also oriented to talented people, inventors, researchers, but it's usually a top-down system which connects innovators with the big corporation. So we thought about a new model that we try to call, we have called peer innovation, inspiring ourselves from we were inspired by, the peer education, which is a model of education a lot used in European cooperation projects to try to make these small companies cooperate together. And when I talk about small companies, I'm talking about startups, but I'm of course talking about SMEs. And as you can see from the title, we were also inspired by the capitalist history of Italy, which is characterized by the industrial districts, who made Italy great after the Second World War. So what we do? We try to transform our innovation ecosystem through the collaboration between peers. For peers, and we are talking about, we are talking about startups, which usually are micro enterprises. They have less than 10 employees. Usually they have, small revenues at the beginnings. So they are very weak on the market. So the way to find models and systems to make these startups cooperate is, is a tool to make them stronger to be on the market. And in particular, to have negotiation interaction with other companies. Why we have first of all, probably I have to say that our model is based on a sort of empirical research. I mean, it's based on our 10 years of experience working together, working with both startups and SMEs. What we have seen, working particularly with startups in this year, is that this open innovation model, the wider open innovation model, usually, as I said also before, is a top-down model. You have this big company trying to have innovation from startups. Often, this big corporation used to cooperate with the startups. They help them to develop their product, their services. They usually, in open innovation operation, they invest in these startups. But what we have seen in this year, which is a big weakness of this model, is that startups, startups and big corp have, they are too different to have, a fair negotiation between them. So, the startups are too weak in a negotiation with a big company. And in many occasions, I have to say, by my experience, by my personal experience, at least in 8 cases, that we were closing a deal with big corp to invest to have innovation from our startups, the deal was not closed. The deals were not closed because the condition that the big corporation offered to the startups were, they were not fair for the startup. So these deals were not closed because this big gap between the two entities. So this was a problem that we have also faced with the spin-off from the University of Salerno, which is also participated by us, where a big deal with a big energy company was not closed because these bad conditions offered by the corporation. So this is the problem that we have faced in these years, trying to make open innovation operational. By the other side, we know that the value of co-generation, because of course matching companies, traditional companies with the startups, could be, if fairly managed, could be a win-win condition, because the startup can grow quicker, faster, and the company and the company can get innovation in a shorter time and with a lower price and lower costs than investing in, for example, in research and development department. So we know we have this, we are convinced of the value of the code generation with this of the code generation. The problem is that, but what we think, and we have seen that fairly managing this operation, these deals, is possible. So we can have a coexistence of, of the model, the large model of open innovation, and the new model of peer innovation, where the startups come together with SMEs to cooperate together to have more strength during the negotiation with the big companies. So by the end, the peer innovation is a sort of complementary action to open innovation usual actions. So, of course, in our model, the actors involved are startups, as I said, SMEs, but also research centers, local authorities, and a lot of young talents. We try to involve them cooperating with university, but also with school. As you can say, the actors involved are the same actors that, the largely known quadruple helix model that also European Union fosters a lot, is they are the same. They are the same actor. And what mechanisms you have to activate to make this
We lost the connection with Enrico.
because it's a
Okay,
sort
okay,
of a larger intelligence. They can share challenges to face the market, and they can share benefits, and they decide to share the benefits affording the market together. Of course, to act this way, they have startups and SMEs working together. They have co-invest to generate smarter value chains. I make you an example. Our first action to make concrete this model has been to create a consortium of 10 startups and 10 SMEs, which is called 012 Tech, 012 Tech in Italian. What this consortium is the first Italian consortiums. Itself, it was a startup composed by 20 startups working, producing and making technologies 4.0. So, once usually you have the startups are focused on products and services about only one technology. For example, we have the startups who works on AI, the startups which works on virtual reality. We have the startups which works, for example, big data and analytics. So making
Enrico,
a consortium. Yes,
Enrico,
I can see.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Maybe something is not working because the slides are only on the first slide. So we can see the slides that are moving. So maybe you are wrongly on presentation mode, but we can see the slides. So during your presentation. So now, yes.
Can you see those? I leave like
Yes,
that?
now, yes.
Yes.
Now
Okay.
it's
No,
fine.
yeah, but not before. Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Can you see the pure innovation model by 012 Factory?
Yes,
That
now
is what
yes.
you see?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you. Now, yes.
Okay, thank you. So what I was saying is that we have founded this consortium, and I have to say that it started to work very well, because what's happened that making this consortium of these 20 vertical startups and on technologies 4.0, and also including in these consortiums, our company, we sell services, so we are advisor, and other SMEs. What happened? That this consortium was able to compete on the market with the big player selling innovation to SMEs. And we were also to move on the G market, which is usually closed to the startups because the call for tenders ask for bigger requirements to the challenging companies. So putting them together, we became a sort of competitor with the big companies such, for example, in many call for tenders, we had to compete with Accenture, for example, and also in developing new projects with, the corporation to create open innovation processes. As all these startups work together, we had the opportunity to have a fair negotiation with them, and we were able to develop together more innovative projects for the businesses. So it was nothing exceptional, but it was a way just to the model, which is very common in Italy, was that the idea to put them together, to consolidate these SMEs, to make them more competitive in choosing a model of a complementarity, of course, and making them stronger. So we had the opportunity to compete on the market. So I can say that at the moment, 012 Factory, through its consortium, 012 Tech, is also a technologies provider. So it made also ourselves stronger. Another example I would like to make is what we are doing with the SMEs, our customers, the SMEs. What we do is, after an assessment period, and where we analyze our customers' characteristics, their innovation needs, what we do, we put together the SMEs with the same needs after our assessment, and then we ask to the consortium, to 012 Tech, to develop a solution for the innovation needs of these clustered SMEs. What is happening? That the SMEs can satisfy their innovation needs because they co-invest together, so with a lower cost, because otherwise alone they wouldn't have afforded this kind of investment. And at the same time, the startups together in the consortium are able to provide this kind of solution. So you can see we have a sort of, exchange between, small entities that going together, putting themselves together, are able to act like big actors. This is, it's nothing special, but before our experiments, no one in our sector ever tried something like that, and also nobody. We were very happy that we had good results doing this job. What we did, it was very simple. We just inspired ourselves. As I said before, we inspired ourselves to the Italian model of the industrial districts. They were very common in center and center-north Italy, in Tuscany, Emilia-Romagna region, Marche region, where companies putting themselves together, even if they had very small dimensions, they were able to go international market and grow very, very fast. But what is interesting about this model, which inspired ourselves, our peer innovation model, is that the idea of industrial district was not only of an idea of company aggregation. It was by Beccattini's studies. Giacomo Beccattini is a very famous Italian economist. The idea is that these industrial districts were able to create a very important social impact. So, and so it was normal the involvement of all the local institutions. It was normal the involvement of the center of research, the university, of the schools, because it was a sort of the industrial districts in the Italy experience were able to create, as Beccattini, and I'm quoting Giacomo Beccattini, an entrepreneurial atmosphere. So it was the idea that creating wealth through, the industrial districts were an opportunity to have a real social impact. And this is what happened, especially in this area of the country. So it was a simple idea. We just have seen the pure innovation model, which is also we have also registered. The name is registered by us. It's just a model where, after we have seen the weakness of the startups to negotiate with big corporations during open innovation deals, as this weakness, we had to find a solution. The solution was very clear: put them together to be stronger by the technological side, by the economical side, and able to interact. So this was the first problem that we tried to face doing that. What we have seen is that to create real open innovation opportunities, the big companies, the market of the big corporation is not a market big enough. So we had to activate open innovation deals also with the SMEs. But the SMEs by themselves alone are not able to invest in open innovation operations. So the other solution, also in this case, was to put themselves to reach an objective, a result, to get together, cooperating with the startups. So this is happening. We are very happy about that, because we are creating and generating businesses to us too, of course. And so, as I told you at the beginning, this is an empirical model that now we are trying to fix, to make a sort of fine-tuning of the model. Yeah.
Yes, I need to communicate to you that we also are out of the time, because of your passion to talk about the model. So maybe if there are some questions, maybe
of course
it is possible to write in the chat. I have one question. So
please.
This is one of the curiosity, but I don't know if we have time, because we are out of the plan. Okay.
We have a time just for a question.
I don't know if you have questions for Enrico.
There are some questions from the audience. I think that
my question.
We have a question.
No, in principle, no. Thank you.
Okay.
Just only congratulations to Enrico. Really nice topic. Interesting.
Okay, I'm happy about that. Thank you.
They can hear. We need to write in the chat
Bishop,
your question.
you have a question?
Yes, unfortunately, I can understand if it is possible to make the question, because unfortunately we can hear the question here. Francisco, here in Italy, we can hear the Rosangela and Anna Maria. Yes, in chat. We have a question in chat.
Yeah. Before
Would this model work on transnational level? So this is a question for you, and I have also another question. I don't know if you would like to answer, Enrico, firstly to the question of Lucian, or do you want to have also my question?
Answer to Lucian, I have also showed on my last slide, which is what next. Yes, we suppose it could work, but we have to test it at the transnational level. At the moment, we haven't tested it, also because we have focused ourselves to work in the southern Italy, where, you know, the market is not so strong like in northern Italy or in other part of Europe. What we have seen, what I can say that probably it could work in other countries where, you know, where there are in the weak area and marginalized area of all Europe. So we think, yes, we would like to try it. I have to say that is probably the object of a future European project we are writing. So to make a pilot.
But maybe, Enrico, this is the real context to try, because we have an international network, so Neolaria is the real context that you can also use to test across national borders. So I have one question for you. This is very short. Yes, my question is with regard to the communication between different actors. So in your model, you put together different actors like company, but also institutions, and at the same time large company, small company, with the aim to create a new knowledge between them. So my question is, just in case they are totally different in terms of knowledge base that they have, in which way you orchestrate the communication between these different actors inside the model?
We are the link, and this is they pay for that. So this is what we do. This is our job. We activate this communication, and usually we are intermediaries. So as we are able to assess the technological or innovation needs of the SMEs, we are able to transfer these needs in terms to transfer these needs to the startups. So we put ourselves, I mean, the innovation intermediaries are, of course, necessary to make these interconnections, of course. And also because in many times, you know, to answer a need of an SME, you need a tailor-made product, a tailor-made service. So what we do many times, and that we pick competencies from different startups, as we know all of them, we put these companies coming from different startups, and we make a sort of project team composed by different employees of different startups to sell to SMEs group a tailor-made product. So the role of intermediaries is very important. And also with university, we involve the university when we need research to help startups to answer these needs.
Yes. So again, and I leave the floor to Rosangela for the closing remarks. So this is the ability of the 012 factory that is in the middle, in the center, is the secret of the black box to link all the actors. So thank you so much, Enrico, and Rosangela. I leave the floor to you to close everything.
Goodbye.
Thank you very much to Enrico and to Bice. I find two inspiring words in the presentation of Enrico. One is about peer open innovation model that try to connect startups with small business and not with big corporation. And another interesting word is about entrepreneurial atmosphere that we need to create in an entrepreneurial context. So it's something that is more fine, more accurate. So now we can start with the presentation of the paper that has been submitted for this session. Connected, we have Francisco Antonio Navarra Valverde, that I hope that he can hear us. And So I know the problem is this one. So I think that is the same problem that had the other people that were connected with us online. So I think that we can go ahead with the second presentation that is in the program. We have a paper that is about entrepreneurial intention and activities among university students, evidence from the University of Jaén in the GES 2024. The presenter, I think, is Domingo Fernandez. So the floor is yours. Just the time to write a message for Francisco. Okay, now we can go. Please. Yes.
Hi everyone, this is my second presentation, my second communication, and I'm going to talk about entrepreneurs' intention and activities among university students, evidence from the University of Jaén in the GES 2023 and 24 study. GES is the world's largest international research initiative on student entrepreneurship. And its main goals is to provide global and national insight into the factors that shape entrepreneurial intentions among university students. In this context, our study focuses students from the University of Jaén. Going to the methodology section, the population includes all undergraduate and postgraduate students at our university, and the data were collected between September and December 2023 using an structured online questionnaire. We received value support from the University Employability and Entrepreneurship Office, and I would like to thank Professor José Ruiz Navarro, the national coordinator of GES in Spain. In total, we collected 1,184 valid responses, which represent a response rate of 8.16%. Going to the results section, career intention of the university students. Let us now look at some key results. 57.4% of students prefer salaried employment. Within this group, 35.4% will choose the private sector, and while 22% prefer the public sector, which is significantly higher than national and European averages. Only around 15% of students would like to start a business immediately after graduation, but this raises to around 23% within 5 years. This shows that a preferred job security in the first time, and in the short term, with entrepreneurial ambition growing over time. When we analyze by gender, we find that immediately after graduation, 22.5% of men and 10.2% of women intend to become entrepreneurs. In 5 years, the figures are 29.5% for men and 18.2% for women. This reveals that a gender gap in entrepreneurship intention, which is wider than the averages in Spain, in Europe, and in the global GES sample. In terms of entrepreneurs activity, we observe that 17% of students, more or less, are emerging entrepreneurs, which is below the global average. And 7.3% are active entrepreneurs, an increase from the last edition, but still lower than the global figure, 11.1%. For example, most of these students work alone, 62%, that 0.3, so sit around 62%. Going to the gender analysis, the difference are here among emerging entrepreneurs. 23 are men compared to around 12% of women. And for active entrepreneurs, around 10% are men and 5.2% are women. Despite the progress, the gender gap persists, and business tend to remain small, although satisfaction is generally high. This suggests that intention to do always lead to the action, especially among underrepresented groups. In this slide, the growth on entrepreneurs activity calls for targeted support, especially in training and mentoring. And universities and institutions must help bridge the gap between intention and sustainable business creation, particularly for women and other underrepresented students. In this picture, I put is a question to reflect on. I would offer to the student one they need. And following entrepreneurship training and university environment, we analyze the context of different aspects. 57.4% students reporting no entrepreneurship training. Also, this is better than the Spanish average. The entrepreneurial climate at the University of Jaén was rated 4.7 out of 7 points, higher than the national and European averages. The most entrepreneurial fields of students are business and administration management, engineering and architecture, psychology, and education that you can see. In summary, the situation is not as negative as it appears, but we want to stay the same without changing. It's a question, again, to reflect on. Students perceive a positive entrepreneurial climate, but there is a clear need for more training and better communication about available resources. In this report, we put different successful cases, examples from the University of Jaén. Each of these founders overcame specific barriers, relied on local university support, and offered valuable advice to future entrepreneurs. Well, yeah, it's very, very small. Here, there are the responses of different founders. I forget to say that we can download the report, the full report, scanning this QR. Okay. Finally, to conclude, we offer the following recommendation. For a student, cultivate an entrepreneurial mindset, embrace collaboration, and learn from failure. For universities, integrate entrepreneurship into the curriculum and professional support services. and for faculty, use active teaching method and engage with innovation ecosystem. Thank you for attention. I would like to know reflection about this theme. Thank you so much for attention.
There are some questions. Yes, there is a question from Joanna. Yes, please. Stand up, maybe you'll hear me more clearly. I just have a question and a remark at the same time about this entrepreneurial spirit within the students. From other researches that I also did, I found like a very good connection between the entrepreneurial spirit, the eagerness to open a startup or to be a manager, and the level of the years of experience as a volunteer. So the volunteerism.
Maybe it would be something interesting for university. Okay. Okay, summing up, it's about the relation between the level of volunteering within a university, maybe through student organizations or through other volunteering opportunities. But I'm not talking about the kind of volunteering that means just moving some chairs, but rather implementing your own projects that are coming maybe with low resources, because as student organizations usually don't have like big budgets, but even those big projects. But it's just this idea of starting something small that maybe is not profit-oriented, but rather something that is approachable for students. And I was curious if there are such initiatives within University of Jaén that are empowering students to become entrepreneurs, but not directly, like it's not in your face. Now you become an entrepreneur, but it's rather, now you are volunteering here, we empower you to start your own project, idea, and then slowly but steadily you develop also your business when you're ready.
Yes, I agree with her, and I said that, for example, Secot, do you see the, no, no, you can see the, well, I look for an institution, Secot, Senior for Cooperation Techniques, I can see in my screen. It's an association of entrepreneurs that made different conferences to the university, and it's very, very interesting for inspire, motivate, and future students that want to create their own business. And thank you for your opinion.
It's a good starting point to further explore this topic. Just to mention 2 points that I can to try to explore. One interesting result is the temporal lag between the entrepreneurial intention after the graduation, that if I remember was about 15%, and entrepreneurial intention after 5 years, that is higher of about 10 points, if I remember, if I correctly remember. So this could be an interesting research areas, in my opinion, because you can explore what happens in that period, 1 year after the graduation and 5 years after, and what kind of entrepreneurship students develop. In the literature, there is a difference, for example, because between necessity entrepreneur and opportunity-driven entrepreneur. So people that did not become entrepreneur after graduation, but become entrepreneur after 5 years, are necessity or opportunity-driven entrepreneur. This is an interesting research area, in my opinion. And another interesting research area is the concern the data about the difference between the level of education on entrepreneurship and the climate change, about the climate atmosphere in terms of entrepreneurship. What emerged from your data is that, notwithstanding a low level of entrepreneurship education, there is an interesting climate, entrepreneurial climate in the university. So what are the factors that influence this entrepreneurial climate further in addition to entrepreneurial education?
This factor, some of these factors are in the report, the necessity, the look for a good job. This is not, it's not easy because there are a lot of factors, but the student look for an opportunity that can find in the job for in the enterprises.
Yes, it was just a suggestion to explore these possible topics of investigation. Okay, thank you very much for your contribution. And now we can go ahead with the next presentation. Renata, there isn't. Okay, don't worry. We have Alexandru Anichiti. If you are ready, you can reach us on the floor. And Alexandru will present a paper, Can Entrepreneurship Education Drive Neo-Entrepreneurship in the Knowledge Economy, a multi-level analysis. If you have a presentation, you can share the screen. Okay, the floor is yours.
My name is Alexandru Anichiti. I'm from Stefan cel Mare, University of Suceava. Firstly, I would like to thank the organizer of this conference and the participating universities. The previous presentations were very good, so I hope that my presentation will be on the same level or a similar level. The title of my research, and I have to say that this research or this paper is still work in progress, so I'm open to any suggestion that you may have. The title or the research question is, can entrepreneurship education drive neo-entrepreneurship and the knowledge in the knowledge economy? In the context of a knowledge-based economy, this study analyzes the impact of entrepreneurial education on the emergence of neo-entrepreneurship. A bibliometric analysis of the literature on entrepreneurship education using the Scopus database 2015-2025 was conducted using VOSviewer. The conclusions support advocating for the integration of entrepreneurial programs into national education system to foster entrepreneurship. However, while entrepreneurial education is a key enabler, it is not sufficient on its own. Quality and entrepreneurial education is needed, along with broader policy measures, such as simplifying business registration, providing seed funding, and encouraging university-industry collaboration are also critical. I would like to start by defining the terms. I know you all know these terms, but I will just very quickly define the most important terms. So knowledge economy. The knowledge economy is an economic system where knowledge, information, and intellectual capabilities are the primary drivers of economic growth, productivity, and competitiveness, rather than traditional industrial production or natural resources. The second term, neo-entrepreneurship. This is a harder term to define because it's a newer term, so I didn't find broad definition of this term, but what I would define it would be something like that. Neo-entrepreneurship refers to modern entrepreneurial approaches that integrate digital technologies, prioritize social and environmental impact, and often operate within non-traditional organizational structures. This concept aligns with broader evolution of entrepreneurship in the digital age, where innovation and adaptability are the key. And the core characteristics of neo-entrepreneurship, in my opinion, 6 core characteristics. It has a digital and technological orientation. It has a social and environmental focus. It works on decentralized and collaborative models. It's flexible and lean operations, such as remote work or work from home. A purpose-driven motivation, and it has a global dimension. And the third term, entrepreneurship education. Entrepreneurship education provides individuals with the knowledge, skills, mindset, and motivation to start and manage a new business. This education is offered at various levels, from primary and secondary schools to university programs. Firstly, I started with the bibliometric analysis of entrepreneurship education. The search using the Scopus database was limited to publications from 2015 to 2025, ensuring a comprehensive overview of the last decade. The data set included articles, conference papers, reviews, book chapters, filtered by the relevant keywords entrepreneurship education. The bibliometric data was analyzed using VozViewer, and the analysis focused on identifying recurring keywords. I'm not sure you can see very well, but so this is the network map, or let's say the most frequent keywords related to entrepreneurship education. So what keywords are mostly related to entrepreneurship education in the literature? And here I have the most common. So the most common is entrepreneurial intention. It is well studied in the literature that entrepreneurial education increases entrepreneurial intentions. It also increases entrepreneurial behavior and entrepreneurial attitudes. Then we have social entrepreneur, academic entrepreneur, sustainable entrepreneurship. Right? So these are words that are related to, or can be related to the neo-entrepreneurship model. Innovation, technology transfer as well, knowledge transfer, and startup. So these keywords are central topics when we bring into discussion the topic of entrepreneurship education. Most of these keywords are also related to neo-entrepreneurship. Next, I explore whether countries that offer entrepreneurship education tend to exhibit more neo-entrepreneurial activity. The primary data source was the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor, the GEM, which has 2 surveys, the APS, the Adult Population Survey, which is an individual data survey, and the National Expert Survey, the NES, for the year 2024, so it's the last data that we can find. The GEM database offers cross-national data on entrepreneurial attitudes, activities, and aspiration, as well as an assessment of national level institutional and policy environments. So in this figure, which is not completed because the data is new, it's 2024, we have country level entrepreneurial education and training. And the countries that are highlighted in red have an highly sufficient entrepreneurial education, and the countries that are highlighted in yellow don't have sufficient entrepreneurial education. And the orange, of course, is in the middle. So we can see that the Nordic countries are doing pretty well in entrepreneurial education. The Baltic countries, Italy is doing pretty well. The Middle East was very interesting. India, Indonesia, Canada, Taiwan, and the countries in yellow, like Romania, Poland, are not doing so well from this point of view. And now let's see how this compares to, sorry, this is a mistake here. This graph is the percentage of those who starting or running a new business with products that are new to the world. So basically, from those starting new businesses, what percentage of those businesses are innovative businesses with new products? And there are three groups of countries. The group C is the resource-intensive countries or the least developed countries. We can see that in general they are not, so their entrepreneurs are not starting the most innovative companies. Then the second group, Group B, is the kind of the middle-income economies, and we can see that some of them are pretty innovative, but most of them are not. We can see that Estonia, Latvia are pretty innovative, but on the left, Poland, Romania are not that innovative. And the Group A is the most developed countries, where they are in general more innovative. And we can look at the most innovative countries here. So we have Taiwan, which is, of course, de facto autonomous territory. We have Norway, we have Italy, also the countries that scored the best in entrepreneurship education. But we also have countries like India, which scored really well on entrepreneurship education, that looking at this figure, we can see that India is not actually that innovative. And that's why we'll see in the conclusions are pretty mixed. And of course, more research is needed. But the findings provide evidence that entrepreneurship education positively influences entrepreneurial intentions. That's true. However, intentions alone do not guarantee entrepreneurial action or long-term success. Other critical factors also play a significant role in fostering new entrepreneurship. First, the national cultural context, such as Hofstede's cultural dimensions, but we're not going to get into this. So culture is deeply embedded and evolves slowly, making a challenging variable to influence directly to policy and education. Also very important, the quality of entrepreneurship education is very important. Programs that emphasize experiential learning, mentorships, and real-world problem solving are more likely to translate intentions into actual entrepreneurial behavior. So with this, I would like to thank you for your attention. And if you have any questions, I'm open.
Thank you. There are any questions from the audience?
Just a quick one.
Sure.
Could you move the slide, graph with TEA?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. This is this graph represents those countries who are starting or running new businesses with some new products,
Yes. Yes.
new innovation.
Yes.
You said that in the Group A, there are countries that are the best in the field. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah.
As categorized by the GEM. So they put the global entrepreneurship monitor put those countries into groups. So Group A is the most highly developed, Group B is the middle income, and Group C is the resource intensive countries.
So it represents more the developing countries,
Yes.
not the number or percentage of businesses that are starting new inventions or new innovations. Because in that way, as you can see, Republic of Korea
Yes.
should belong to the Group C because they have less percentage than like Egypt. Am I reading this
Um,
right?
If I remember whether the classification of economies is based on the GDP per capita.
Okay, so it's about development, not
Yes,
about
developed
innovation.
countries with more, I think more than 40 euros for people. The Group B is the medium between 25,000 and 40, and Group C is the undeveloped
Yes.
economies. This is the difference within the different.
yes, thank you.
So I have just a suggestion for just a comment and a
Sure.
suggestion. I think that about the bibliometric analysis that you perform, you say that this is a work in progress. I would suggest to, as a next step for your bibliometric analysis, to perform a sort of content analysis of the paper that you find. I don't know what is the number, but I suppose that is a large number of papers that you find, articles that you find about entrepreneurship education, but it would be interesting to go in a deeper analysis of such paper in order to find the future research area in terms of entrepreneurship education. So it would be the next step of your research in terms of
Yes, thank you for the suggestion. It's very interesting because this could be a next step, and it's also there could be it's a research that can take a lot of other steps as well. But thank you very much for the suggestion.
Thank you, Alexandra. Now we can. Now we leave the floor to an online presentation. Okay. Now is the time for Francisco Navarro Valverde that will present a paper about different ways of promoting rural entrepreneurship, the rural tickets in Asturias and Grow Biz in Scotland. It's a difficult communication with the online people because we can hear them, but they... Okay, please.
Meet on your computer. So
But
maybe your microphone is working. So
yes,
you can
but I can.
communicate directly with Mr. Navarro.
Ah, okay, I'll try. Francisco, do you hear
Hello?
me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Yes, we are ready. I have introduced your paper, so you can share your presentation in presentation mode, and you can go.
Thank you. Thank you. First of all, sorry, because I was a bit confused about the start of the session. I really apologize. And yes, just only to share a small research with my colleagues Jose Garcia, Eugenio Sejudo, Nesli Onder, about two experiences of promotion of entrepreneurship in rural areas. In Spain, the case of Asturias, rural ticket, and for the UK in Scotland, Grovies. The idea is that in rural areas, the entrepreneurship needs different kind of support because of the special condition of rural areas and also for the special condition of the own entrepreneurship in rural areas. The objective of this research is to extract learning from these two experiences on promoting entrepreneurship, and our hypothesis is that the support of entrepreneurship requires different action and actors and not only financial support. Yes, there is a number of references about this topic, about the promotion of entrepreneurship in rural areas, the need of the involvement of participation and interaction between local actors, between entrepreneurs, the need for the creation of entrepreneurial ecosystem and support of rural businesses. Also the existence of entrepreneurship program, and finally the present the work of a bank financing for this promotion and the presence of investment in innovation. Yeah, we can follow with some also other references, the sense of play, the relevance of the trust, the level of engagement, etc. And also about the promotion of entrepreneurship of the leader approach. We have some references about the relevance of the bureaucracy, the problem from the entrepreneur to receive the grant, etc. The methodology combines quantitative and qualitative data, but in this case, for this presentation, I'm gonna use mostly qualitative information coming from 10 semi-structured interviews in the case of Grovis and 11 semi-structured interviews in the Spanish case, in the case of Rural Ticket. Yeah. Let me tell you that Grovis is a third sector organization in Scotland, and on the other hand, the Rural Ticket is promoted by the local action group of Asturias, a Spanish region. The philosophy in the first case is the following the principle of Ernesto Siroli, growth coming from the community is the most suitable, listening, helping to entrepreneurs what they love to do, and also sharing the entrepreneurship from the beginning, not only made by one person. In the case of the rural tickets, the philosophy is the creation of employment to promote the self-employer, reduce bureaucracy, following the rule, this rule coming from the European Agricultural Fund for Rural Development. Activities, on one hand, in the case of Grovis, we have a mentoring program about facilitation and empowerment, much more about the community support, promoting entrepreneurs to other entrepreneurs, new entrepreneurs. And in the case of Rural Ticket, we got on one hand the leader grant support, and on the other hand, we got the Rural Ticket. About the concept of an objective is quite similar to the before characteristic. In the case of Grovis, it's a kind of mutual benefit, having mentor and mentees, both of them, feeding themselves, giving, in the case of mentee, fresh ideas, and in the case of the mentor, showing the experience, showing sources, listening, giving a skill, etc. In the case of Rural Tickets, it's a direct support of 35,000 euros, promoting support, promoting self-employment, as I said before. The area is, in the case of the rural areas of Scotland, and in the other case, the rural areas of Australia. About the negative points of both initiatives, experiences, in the case of the mentoring program coming from Growbiz, they don't have grant, they don't have subsidies, sorry, and the difficulties in finding mentor because of no retribution to this mentor, and no support from the Scottish government, as they mentioned, the facilitator mentioned. In the case of rural ticket, the requirement, the condition, exclusive dedication, not for cooperative, coming from a top-down, it's a top-down measure coming from the regional government. The tax agency consider the whole grant in the first year. So they in some way the new entrepreneurs have to pay in advance these taxes. The bureaucracy also, obligation of unemployment situation before to apply for the grant, the limited to some activities, the paperwork, the time, the lack of a mentoring program was said by some of the promoters interviews. The next system of a training program, limited funds, and no inclusion in the local action group association of these new entrepreneurs in these rural areas. Innovation, I was saying that in the first case is the approach, the bottom-up approach, the community and social point of view, listening mentor, the way of facilitation for rural communities and small businesses, which sometimes doesn't fit with the funder and complicate to translate to authorities. You know, it's sometimes for them, for this facilitator, it's too complicated to transmit the positive point, the innovative point of view to the authorities. No, in the case of rural ticket, the closeness and the support also to this kind of new entrepreneurs, new companies, having as main objective the lifestyle, not having as main objective the economic benefit, I will say. We asked to the in both cases if they had to decide between two options, just a grant or a mentor program, sorry, what would be the decision for them? And we can say that in both cases, they are really motivated to have a kind of mentorship program. Of course, in the first case, they were really glad for this kind of for this kind of support. In the case of rural ticket, they mentioned the necessity not only to receive the grant, also to receive a kind of mentorship program, a kind of support from other people having the same experience than they know. About the impacts, in the first case, the mentoring program helped companies to increase their life, increase their self-belief and confidence, open their minds and realize that there are always opportunities here in the rural areas, and the case also the opportunity to be in the future mentor or staff in the Growbiz program. And in the case of rural ticket, the simplification of procedures, at least compared to the leader approach, but no, for them it's not for, they need more simplification, as I said before. The gender impact, 57% of the promoters were women. The willingness, sorry, to be a mentor in the future, the activities of services, the promotion, the support to lifestyle projects, the creation of employment, of course. So I would say that these are some of the main impacts. And the conclusion, finishing my presentation, the flexibility and horizontal decision making is is a consideration done in both cases. The process is the more relevant point. The community as a central goal, listening and supporting to hard to reach entrepreneurs. The implication of actors is necessary, the implication of all of the actors, the need to promote competencies, as you know, entrepreneurial competencies and skills. The place-based approach, much more in the first case. I would say that in the second case, the embeddedness and the creative initiatives, against imposed measures, the role of facilitators thinking on the whole process of entrepreneurship and community needs, not only getting the grant or fitting the requirement of this, the necessity to think, to you know, to think on the whole process of entrepreneurship, the combination of the previous grant and mentorship, the need for complementary measures, you know, look for accommodation if we are thinking in entrepreneurs, in newcomer entrepreneurs in some way, the need for training, also the need to think in a kind of line, thinking that in the substitution of elderly entrepreneurs in rural areas, the relevant of the municipality to be a facilitator and not the opposite. Okay, and finally the inclusion in the community and in the association, sorry, or local action group. I'm thinking the belonging, the feeling of belonging and empowerment of these new entrepreneurs in rural areas. And that's all. Thank you very much. I'm sorry, apologize. As I said before, it's been a huge pleasure to participate in the conference.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Francisco. We appreciate your presentation. I don't know if there are some questions. No, there are not questions from the audience. Just a comment from my side. The paper is very interesting from the practical point of view and for the policy implication that your work could have in order to
more effective policies able to support the development of rural areas. I think that a combination between classical financial support with the integration of a model more oriented to mentorship activities could be a model to further develop rural areas. And second, my second comment is about the concept of social capital. In the starting of your presentation, you mentioned about the difficulty to involve mentors as voluntaries in the program. Probably a reflection about strategy aimed to develop social capital in the rural communities. So in order to create a community of people that share the same aim, the same objective, and so create a social capital in rural areas could be a way to involve for a stronger involvement of mentors for free. So could be an interesting further area of investigation. So reflect on the strategy to increase the social capital in the rural community. In my opinion,
an interesting area.
Thank you very much for your comment, Rosangela. I really appreciate, and also I think that is a good point. I will say that in some way the leader approach and in the second case the rural ticket have to create a kind of commitment of these new entrepreneurs to be mentors in the future, and also to highlight the positive point to be a mentor. These fresh ideas coming from the new entrepreneurs, and they belonging to an association, they belonging to a community. Some of these for this reason. But thank you for your. I think it's really welcome. Grazie mille.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Francisco. We can say bye to you, and we can go ahead with the next presentation.
Okay, thank you. It was a pleasure. Bye.
Now, yes, now you can hear me. Perfect. Okay, what a day. Let's finish it shortly, but I really want to present you the research that I'm currently conducting. So I don't have the results yet, and I would highly appreciate any input on it. First, a short disclaimer. Why is it Andalusia if I'm actually a student at the University of Suceava? Well, because I'm volunteering there with an European program called European Solidarity Corps, and I'm there for a couple of months. And during this time, we faced quite a few challenges, and that brought me to this question, exactly what was discussed also before about these entrepreneurs that are needed because of the context or because of the opportunities that arise. And in our case, I'm currently living in Alora, which is like a rural community in southern Spain. And over there, maybe some people heard about Dana. Dana was affecting mostly Valencia, but also this region. And because of that, many businesses have been impacted. And after that, okay, this was last year. But this year, again, in March, there were many storms known also as borrascas, and each one of them has a name. And it was a huge thing because everyone there was talking about, okay, but this is not normal. This never happened before. And yes, it's a climate change context, but it's also an entrepreneurial context because there are many businesses that had to be shut down because of this reason for the period of these storms. And also after that, maybe you've heard of the big blackout when there was no electricity at all. And there are some industries where, okay, one day of not working is not such a big deal, but in the big factories that are creating many samples and in the high industry, then you have a really big problem from the commercial perspective. So the research is about how did these climate change situations affect the business owners in the rural area of Andalusia, and how are they adapting to this new climate context. And for this, the research is meant to see how they face these operational, financial, and also infrastructural challenges, because this situation also affected all the infrastructure from the government perspective. And this research is also done in collaboration with two local organizations, one that is focused on the climate change research and also educational activities, and the other one is the association where I'm currently volunteering. So we combine all of them together. And as I said, the purpose is related to the way the entrepreneurs are adapting their business strategies based on these situations, because they happened. But the problem is not that they happened and they got affected by it. The problem is that many more such cases are going to appear, because climate change is not something that just happened, but it's something that is going to continue. And how do we adapt to these situations? And some maybe already have a plan, but it's really interesting to see also if they have actually a plan, and how can the government support them in this situation. And to see that, we are planning on using a mixed method, both a questionnaire to reach a higher number of also industries, but also entrepreneurs and perspectives, and also some field interviews, so that we can go in depth into this qualitative interview, so that we see more input from their perspective. And it's also, there are going to be more questions to see different aspects, but it's a big focus on the new entrepreneurship paradigm and how are they adapting to the new climate context. Of course, there is a theoretical framework that we got inspired from, so that we can have also like a point where we start from. And what we are, the output that we are expecting, again, it's an ongoing process. We are now developing the questionnaire, is also to see how does the rural entrepreneurial resilience work in rural Spain, and how can this be either a start point for other regions, or they can get inspiration from others in case the inspiration is not existent in the area. And from this point of view, also some sustainable practices that can be used as best practice examples for other regions as well. And the profile of new entrepreneurial motivations and how do they work under stress, so their resilience in these cases, and the adaptation, again, towards unexpected situations, because no one was expecting this context. And the idea would be also to create some policy recommendations, because the public authorities from the area are overwhelmed with this situation, and they don't know exactly how to deal with it. And right now they are focusing a lot on the infrastructure. How can we make sure that we are not coming back to the situation without being water for a month, which was the case. But the infrastructure is one thing. However, the support for the entrepreneurs in the area is really, really important. So it's about also dealing with this. Not to mention that it's a mainly agricultural area as well, so this was also affected. And of course, for the questionnaire that we are currently developing, there are some articles that we are getting inspired from, but it's still a work in progress. And the main sections that we want to focus on are the business profile, to see the industry that the business is working in, and also the climate impact. So how did this climate situation affected the business itself in these 3 moments, because there are 3 moments that we have in mind. The adaptation process, how did they adapt to what happened, and also to what is going to come next, and also some additional insights that could be useful for further research. And all of this is based on different articles. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, yeah.
I try to keep it short. And of course, I'm open to collaborations, because it's just the beginning.